I was recently invited to pitch at Dodger spring training camp, but not for the Dodgers, against the Dodgers. I was part of Team Asian Breeze, and the game was on a backfield against some minor leaguers. Now, I was originally told that there was no video allowed during the game, so I didn't bring my vlog camera or any cameras, but when I got there was a ton of people videoing with their phones and some TV cameras out there, so what I've done is I've gathered all the footage that I can from the day, and I'm gonna walk you through what I was thinking and how I saw the day through my eyes, so let's get into it. Now, when I first got to the complex, I walked through the same roads that the fans walk through to get to the field. So I got to see a lot of Dodger fans on the way there, which was really cool. So before I even got to the field, I stopped and signed for 20 or 30 minutes for a lot of the fans that were there. There's Dodger Bauer jerseys there was Yokohama jerseys there were Dodger bobbleheads and Trevor Bauer cards and Trevor Bauer bobbleheads and all sorts of cool stuff. So it was really cool to see that from the fans. And there's hundreds of people out there. Normally for a backfield game in spring training, there's like 10 people, maybe 15 people, most of those being family of people that are playing or maybe a couple scouts for the organization, but there were hundreds of Dodger fans out there. So it was cool to see everyone come out to support me and to watch me pitch. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for the support. It made the day a lot of fun. So after signing for 20 or 30 minutes, I went to warm up for the game, eventually got over to the bullpen, and this was right next to the walkway for the fans. So there's a bunch of people lined up watching my bullpen. Felt pretty cool. It actually reminded me of pitching in Seattle, where the bullpen is right next to the stands and the fans can just look straight at you and you're on the same eye level with them. Pretty cool feeling. I always like warming up in Seattle because of that. So it made the warm-up process a little bit more fun. Also, it was really cool to see so many of the young Dodger minor leaguers come out to watch the game. Normally in spring training for a backfield game, if you're not playing, you don't go to it. You get your warm-ups done, you get your throwing done for the day, you get your recovery done, and you go home. Only the people that are playing in the game would show up. But there's definitely more people there at the game than were playing. They just came out to watch. I got to see my friend Alex Vesia, got to give him a hug and talk to him a little bit. He actually ended up pitching in the game, which was pretty cool. I got to see Ronan Kopp, who trains with me in the off-season, got to see some of the Dodger players that I know. And actually a cool thing happened. On my way from the bullpen on the first base side to the third base dugout before the game, I actually saw one of the players I faced in the Cape a couple years back. I was pitching there in the summer. He was playing for Brewster at the time. Now he's playing for the Dodgers, which is pretty cool to see. And I asked him, what pitches do you want to face today? What pitch do you want to strike out on?
Either.
Fair play? And he said fastballs, but none of that slide step BS. So I made sure to look at his number. He's number 35, and I put in my head, okay, number 35 wants all the slide steps. I actually have 4 new slide steps. I have a quick pitch, I have a mid leg kick, a full leg kick, and a pause leg kick. So I made sure to whip all those out against him, and I actually faced him in the first inning. So we'll get to that at bat in a second, but let's see how the first inning went. I'll walk you through what pitches I threw and what I was thinking in the moment. First pitch of the game, my catcher calls cutter, which is awesome. I'm not just gonna give you a first pitch lazy fastball down the middle to hit. The fact that a brand new catcher called cutter first pitch, I was like right on board with him.
Woo.
But I did miss a little bit high, which makes it 1-0. So going into the game, I really just didn't want to walk people. I wanted to make sure I was throwing strikes. This is my first actual game action this spring. Now most of these guys have already been throwing live BP and they've been throwing on mounds and cleats and had some game action. A lot of the hitters have already faced live pitching and been playing games. I've just been throwing in my gym in shoes against Eric, so I wasn't sure exactly how I was going to go, so that's why my goal was just make sure to throw strikes, throw my best stuff over the plate, and force the guys to swing. So I'm behind 1-0 in the count, so I'm going to throw a fastball and make sure I get back into the count, but I mixed in one of my new leg kicks. This is the quick pitch. And before I take a step back like I normally would, I slide my left foot forward and just go straight into my delivery. So this is intended to mess with the hitter's timing a little bit. It's 1-0. I think he's probably looking for a fastball, so I decided to mix in a little wrinkle on the timing, and unfortunately, I missed below the zone, so now we're 2-0, which means I need to throw a strike.
Oh, foul tank.
So I go back to my normal leg kick, I throw a fastball middle of the plate, and he pulls it way foul. Luckily for me, not a homer, so we're back to 2-1. Now, I didn't know this at the time, but the slowest fastball I threw on the day was 96. I was sitting 97, 98. I touched 99 3 times. If I would have known that, I probably would have thrown more fastballs. I figured in the moment I was probably throwing like 95, 96. I felt pretty good, but I didn't think I was throwing quite that hard. The fact that he got the head out on 97 and pulled 97 foul is a good indication of where he's at timing-wise. So when I saw that, I decided to throw a cutter 2-1. And I didn't really think I had to be too fine with it. I just needed to throw it for a strike, and I figured it'd be a rollover or a ground ball, maybe a swing and miss. Something along those lines. Now that pitch was middle, but to his credit, he took a 2-1 cutter and got a solid line drive hit. hit, just a single, but not the best start to the day. I'm not worried about it though at this point. Just figured I'd get the next guy, maybe roll a double play. I did have a lefty coming up, which means my splitter is in play. Really good ground ball pitch, so maybe I can roll a double play here. First pitch fastball, up and in, get a swing and miss, which means this bat is off to a good start. Now, pitching in Japan, I did pick up a slide step, which makes it a lot harder to steal off me. In the middle of this at bat, I actually looked over at the runner on first base and said, "Hey, are you fast?" And he's like, "No, I'm not," which I think he was lying to me because he is leading off, so he's got to be somewhat quick. Second pitch, 0-1, I tried to land a curveball, but I ended up bouncing it a little bit, so we're 1-1. It was a good pitch, just not at the right time. Maybe if I throw it 0-2, he swings, but not 0-1. So we're 1-1. Now I need to get ahead. I got to get to 1-2, give myself a chance of a strikeout here. So I decided to throw a split. I threw it middle, probably a pitch that could get hit, but he was out in front of it, swung over the top of it, so we get to 1-2, and it gave me a good idea. Throw that pitch again. So I did. But I threw it a little bit too low and he didn't swing at it, but that's okay. That sets up the next pitch perfectly. So if I think about the sequence, I've just gone fastball up and in, he swung and missed. A splitter up and in that he swung at thinking it was a fastball, and then it died to go middle. He was over the top of it and out in front of it. I then threw a splitter that started at the bottom of the zone and broke below the zone that he didn't swing at. So now it's time for a fastball at the bottom of the zone that he thinks is the splitter, but it doesn't break and it catches the bottom of the zone for strike 3. Now, as soon as I let go of that pitch, I said, yep, because I knew I had executed it. Before the ball even got to the plate, I knew it was a strike. The umpire rang him up, so we're in a good spot here, get our first out of the inning. Double play right now ends the inning, but I'm not going for double plays. I'm here to strike people out, and I'm here to entertain the fans. So third hitter, we got a righty at the plate, which means I'm gonna go with my normal righty setup. Fastballs away, cutters away, sliders off the plate. Start with the first pitch fastball away, strike, come back with a second pitch cutter, strike, so we get to 0-2 real quick. Now it's time for the nasty wipeout slider. Now I had a really good feel for all my pitches on this day, except for my slider. And as you can see, I bounced that nowhere close to the plate. The hitter doesn't even budge, just a really bad pitch. Also, really hard pitch for my catcher to block. He did a great job of keeping it in front of him, but can't expect much more than that, and the runner advances to second base. This is where it got kind of interesting. Now normally with a man on second base, you'd go through multiple signs with the catcher, but this is just an exhibition game and I'm just here to have some fun, so I told my catcher to give only one sign. So the guy at second base probably could have been relaying to the hitter exactly what pitch was coming, which I didn't care about because I was already planning on telling the hitters everything that I was throwing in future innings. Now this is a funny moment of the game, something that most of the fans probably missed. A couple picked up on it because I could hear him saying, "Ooh," when I did it. The runner's bouncing off at second base, trying to get me to pay attention to him, trying to fake like he's gonna steal the third. So I just looked at him and I gave him a little head tilt like, yeah, go ahead, go to third, do it. What do you think? Go, try. He didn't try to steal third, at least until later in the inning. But that was just a little bit of fun I was having with the runner. I honestly would have liked him to steal third, then he can't relay signs from second, and it also puts a little bit more pressure on me because now I can't even give up a ball in play. And I like that type of situation. It would have been one out, man on third, and I would have had to strike 2 people out to get out of the inning. Unfortunately though, he didn't take the bait. So back to focusing on the hitter. We're in a 1-2 count. I decided to go with a slider. I wanted to throw a better one, just get it slightly out of the zone, maybe get a swing. In a 1-2 count, I have another pitch to waste, and if I miss with the slider, I know I have the comeback 2-seam that he'll freeze on because just like the splitter, he sees the sliders break out of the zone. If he sees something that looks like those, he's gonna read ball and the ball's gonna break back into the zone. So this is really a free pitch. And if I don't get him on this pitch, I'll get him on the next pitch. I just can't throw this one for a strike because he might have a chance of hitting it. So I didn't get the slider close enough to the plate to get a swing, which means time for the comeback 2-seam, and I absolutely dotted this pitch. This is a strike. I don't know what the umpire was looking at. Maybe I froze him too. I mean, just look at the catcher's glove. It literally doesn't move. I just dot it, and he set it up as a strike right on the black. Perfect pitch. But we don't get the call. I kind of threw my head back and laughed. I heard someone say, "Welcome to the real world," and I thought at the time that it was someone from the Dodgers dugout. What I found out later is it was actually Eric Sim chirping me from the crowd.
Real life, son. It's a different ball game.
Either way, we don't get the call, so now it's 3-2, and now I have to throw a strike. So we go fastball in, got a foul ball off his foot, and now it's time for an off-speed pitch. I decided to go with the splitter. And that was a nasty splitter. I didn't get it quite low enough for a swing and miss, but I had to throw it for a strike, and my poor catcher got hit, which, not good. I felt bad. That stings. Right on the inner thigh. Ugh, not comfortable. So now it's 3-2. The runner tried to steal third on that foul ball, so now he's jumping off of the base again. So I give him another one, a little head tilt. It's like, hey, go for it. I actually said to him, go for it, take third. And he's like, nah. And then I turned and threw the pitch. Comeback 2-seam right at the bottom of the zone. This one though, I will say, was about a ball width below the zone. This one was definitely lower than the 2-2 pitch. I thought the 2-2 was a strike, but this one was definitely a ball, so good call by the umpire. Unfortunately, we get a walk. I think if this was in the zone, he probably takes it. I could have thrown a little bit higher, but now we're in a little bit of trouble. First and second, 1 out. Double play still gets me out of it, but not ideal so far. So we got the 4-hitter at the plate. He's a righty. Normally I'm going cutters away, sliders away in this situation, but the catcher called splitter, and I was like, you know what? It's pretty good today. Let me try it. Let's see if we can get a little rollover. Ball breaks in on him. He's not expecting it. Roll over to third, double play. That was my thought. Ran a little bit off the inside part of the plate for ball 1, but still a pretty good pitch, and now it sets up all the stuff breaking away from him, so I can definitely use that miss. So 1-0, I decided to throw a 4-seamer at the top of the zone. He actually gets the barrel to it pretty well, but pops it up, so definitely an out.
Trouble.
Or maybe not. Okay. Bases loaded, 1 out. How are we going to wiggle out of this one? That's what I thought as soon as that ball dropped. And then I turned to see my friend, number 35, stepping into the box. And this is actually perfect. If there's guys on first and second with 2 outs, I couldn't have given him slide steps. But with bases loaded, I can go out of the windup, which means all 4 of my leg kicks are in play. And he already told me that he doesn't like them. So guess what he's getting? All the slide steps. First pitch, we go with regular leg kick. Let him get his timing that I'm going to disrupt later. Cutter, down and in. Borderline pitch, I think he caught the black. Get the call from the umpire, 0-1. So now that he's got his timing with my normal leg kick, I decided to go with the slide step. Fastball, but I pulled it down, so we're 1-1. I did see his reaction afterwards, and he kind of gave a little head tilt and was like shaking his head at me, so I know I have him right where I want him. 1-1, I know he didn't react well to the first pitch, cutter down and in, so I decided to go with the quick pitch, cutter in, and we get the strike call. Maybe the timing's throwing him off a little bit because he didn't swing at this. He hasn't swung at any of them, but we got him right where we want him. It's 1-2, timing's messed up, he's thinking about it. Easy strikeout from here. So I go back to my normal leg kick, I throw a splitter, it's nasty, he swings right over the top of it, out in front of it, and we get the much needed strikeout. Perfect sequence. 2 cutters running in on him, he sees the exact same trajectory, and he thinks the ball's gonna run in, but it dives the other way, and we get the strikeout. Flawlessly executed. Now I'm almost out of this jam, bases loaded, we got a righty at the plate. I decided to have a little bit of fun. Definitely wouldn't want the hitter to know in this situation what pitch is coming, because it could cost me a lot of runs, right? Wrong. Just tell the hitter what's coming. I signaled fastball. For those of you who don't know, this signal with the glove means fastball. So I just told him what pitch was coming. I think he might have thought that I was lying to him, like I was going to signal fastball and throw something else. I don't know, but it was like my best against your best. Let's see who wins. And turns out I won. Ground ball to second, so that's inning number 1. Got into a little bit of a jam, got my feet wet, but now I'm locked in on game mode. I can start having a little bit more fun. So in between the first and the second inning, I had the pleasure of talking to the king of JUCO himself, Eric Sim.
Sir, you hit
99?
99 3 times the first inning. How'd you feel about that, man?
If I would have known that I was throwing that hard, I would have just thrown one extra hard and hit 100. I've never hit 100. It's one thing I still have to do in my baseball career before I'm done playing. I just want you to know that I don't actually try against you. I'm glad you were here to see that, so you know that I have that when I want it, but I just chill at like 91 against you.
Is that what it is? So you've been taking it easy on me? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
I think you're capping, bro. You're just feeling really good.
If we do 10 at bat to like 10 games, if we do 10 games, and I actually try to get you out, this is the Bower you'll get.
Shut the fuck up.
Now before the game, I was made aware that some of the Dodger hitters were salivating at facing me. They thought they were gonna hit a homer off me. They're like, oh, he only throws 91, 92. Marty Mush got a hit off him. We're gonna take him yard. We're gonna do his sword celebration. They were out to embarrass me. But what I think they don't understand is when I'm throwing on YouTube, I'm not giving it everything. I'm throwing in shoes, indoors, just making content. The difference between making content and throwing a game is massive. I average like 91, 93 indoors. I'll ramp it up to like 94, 95 sometimes, but I didn't throw a pitch below 96 this entire game, and that's what the difference is. When you throw in a game, it's about getting outs, you're in an environment, in cleats, outside. If you're watching on YouTube thinking like, oh, a blogger got a hit off of him, you just don't know baseball. It's just different. Making content, pitching a game, 2 different things, and I wanted Eric to know that. I wanted him to know that when I face him, the only reason he stands a chance is because I let him stay close for the purpose of content. Anyway, let's get to inning number 2. So we got a lefty leading off the inning. I want to have a little bit of fun, which means I want to strike everybody out. That's the goal for this inning. Just send a message to all these hitters like, I got it, I'm better. Then in the third inning, we can get to joking around a little bit more. So first pitch fastball, we get a strike. I throw a nasty curveball, 2,900 RPMs, banger for strike 2, and now he's completely confused. Hasn't swung the bat, seen 2 different shapes. I can go fastball above the zone, I can go splitter below the zone. I have a lot of different options here. So I decided to go with another curveball, but just bounce it this time. I go with the slide step, curveball in the dirt, and I get a little bit of a budge out of the hitter, but not a full swing, which means I know what to go to next. He's now seen a fastball, and he's seen a curveball down. He didn't swing at the fastball, he didn't swing at the curveball, but it is 2 strikes. So you throw something that looks like the fastball and the curveball, that's gonna be a strike, but that has a different movement profile. So what is that? Time for the splitter. And it was a borderline strike, so he did have to swing to protect, but is in a perfect location, strikeout number 1. Now we got a righty, we go with the quick pitch cutter. I just pulled a little bit off the plate, so we fall behind 1-0, and we hear Eric yelling ball from the stands.
Oh.
Now I heard Eric yelling on the mound, and I was yelling back at him, but I guess there was too many fans there making too much noise, so he couldn't really hear me. But I heard him saying slow, I heard him saying ball, I heard him saying hit a ball 450. He was rooting for the hitters, can you believe that? So I guess by dominating the hitters, I also dominated Eric, which, you know, happens all the time. Keep trying, Eric. So after the quick pitch cutter away, I decided to go with the slide step fastball, disrupt the timing a little bit, and we get a hard hit ground ball to third. A really nice play by my third baseman, a hard hit 1 hopper, nice backhanded stab, good throw to first. Very nice play overall. Very quick 2 outs, but not a strikeout, so I need another strikeout here. So it's time to whip out my 4th leg kick, the mid-leg kick pause. And you can see the effect it has on the hitter here. As soon as I pause, he's in the middle of his load and he has to stop his load. And then when I start, he has to restart again. So that disrupts his timing. It gets him thinking a little bit. I throw him a fastball middle, and he fouls it off. Would he have been on time for it if I had gone normal? Maybe. It's hard to tell on these things because you don't get 2 pitches to compare to, but that's the effect of messing with some timing. Hitters end up missing pitches a little bit more often because they're a little bit uncomfortable. They're out of rhythm. So that's why I do it. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty good. I give him the fastball sign, let him know exactly what pitch is coming, and he fouls it off. So after telling him what was coming and having him foul it off, I was like, hey, what pitch do you want to hit? You tell me what pitch you want, I'll throw it. And he goes, you do you, man. I was like, all right, well, if you don't want to know, I'll just throw you a nasty splitter, see what you do with it. And that's what happens, so. But we get our 3rd strikeout, and that's the end of the 2nd. And now I'm rolling. I'm locked in command-wise, I'm locked in velo-wise, locked in movement-wise. 3rd inning is going to be a lot of fun. So in between the 2nd and 3rd, Eric actually came to hang out in the dugout, and he did a little mid-game interview, which I'm super in on, by the way. I think that should happen more often in the big leagues. Be great for content, great for the fans. I would love it. I'd give some banger mid-game interviews like this one.
So what is your game plan? You're obviously 2 innings, 5 Ks. So what is the game plan going to the 3rd inning?
You know, I think I'm either going to call every pitch from the mound, like signal it, or I'm going to let the fans call the pitches. I haven't decided yet. Maybe a mix of both. I'm going to try to hit 100, so.
I mean, 99 3 times the 1st inning, it's not good enough. You just don't want it enough.
I need some adrenaline. I've had none all day. Maybe some pre-workout, a velo slab.
What do you mean you don't have, what do you mean? Look at those people that showed up.
Now, no disrespect to the fans that were there, it was a great environment for a backfield game, but compared to Yokohama, where there's 33,000 people chanting and playing drums and singing the entire game, it was hard to have adrenaline on a backfield. I was just out there having fun, like I told Eric. So let's have some extra fun in the 3rd. Let's start off with signaling every pitch that's coming to the hitters. Give them a chance. So I signal first pitch fastball, throw it right down the middle, strike 1. 0-1, I signal slider, I throw it down and away. It was probably the best slider I threw all day, but it wasn't close enough to get a swing. And after this pitch, he said, give me a fastball. I said, okay, if you really want a fastball, this is the one I'm gonna try to hit 100 on. You know it's coming, I know it's coming, let's see who wins. So I give him the fastball sign, I throw it as hard as I can. It was 99.1 on the gun, and he didn't even swing. I mean, you know a fastball's coming. I guess good on him for not swinging at a pitch that wasn't where he wanted to hit it. I don't know. I thought he was going to swing. I was super surprised. So after the fastball down and away, I give him the splitter sign, and this is usually a perfect sequence because the hitter had just seen a fastball that starts down. Now they're going to see a splitter that starts off a little bit above it, looks more hittable, and then dives out of the zone. Usually you get a swing and miss here, but he does know it's coming. So if I don't throw this right below the zone where he's forced to swing because it might be a borderline pitch, probably not going to get a swing.
All right.
Now, even though he did know it's coming, and that's a big advantage in that situation, that was still a good take. So I told him, I said, hey, good take. He's like, thank you, give me a fastball. So I said, all right, here we go again.
He's gonna take you deep. Gonna take you deep, son.
No, Eric, he's not gonna take me deep. Nope. So I give him his fastball, but I did go with the slide step here, throw his timing off a little bit, and he grounded it out to third weakly. Now, as he's running down the first base line, I was like, hey, if you're gonna ask for a fastball, don't ground out, hit a homer or do something cool. I don't think he liked that very much. I was just joking around, but not my fault. Do better. Now, we did get an out, but it wasn't a strikeout, and I really wanted a strikeout after telling the hitter every pitch it was coming, so that's the goal for this at bat. First pitch, cutter away. And he smoked it. That ball was absolutely crushed, and I told him, I was like, hey, good swing. Unfortunately for him, it went right to my shortstop, who made a fantastic play, and I get another quick out.
That was hit 120.
Now, I heard Eric reminding me how hard it was hit, and he's probably right. It was probably hit about 115 miles an hour, but I was too busy with my next plan, which was asking a fan to call the pitches. First thing I had to do was pick the fan.
Now he's asking the fans to call a pitch. Jesus, I love it. I love it.
So I knew this was probably going to be my last hitter, because no way am I going to let the fans call the pitches and then give up a hit. Absolutely not. This has to be an out.
Call the pitch.
So I slapped myself in the leg and the thigh, and this is a little trick that I use to spike my central nervous system. This is the at-bat. I'm going for 100. I want to give it everything that I have. Let's see if I get it. So the fan called two-seam, which is what we're going to throw. So I gave the two-seam signal. Let's get it. Now, he took a pretty good hack at that, fouled it off. Normally, I would throw him something coming in on him now, but it's not my call. It's the fan's call. Let's see what he says.
Splitty?
And the fan said splitter. So I signaled splitter to the hitter and threw the nastiest one I could. Now, my splitter doesn't just go straight down. It does have a little bit of arm side run to it. So that one started off the plate in and came back and caught the inner part. Dangerous pitch if the hitter swings because it's right in his nitro zone, but that was a nasty pitch and we're ahead 0-2. Let's see what the fan wants now.
What do you go to next?
Now, he called for a front hip or a breaker, which I didn't know exactly which that meant. Like a front hip breaker to a righty could be like a front hip slider, but I don't throw a breaking ball that's a front hip to a lefty. It would have to be a front hip two-seam to a lefty. So I had to step off and clarify. Now, the whole point of a front hip two-seam is to catch the hitter off guard and to get a freeze. So because he knew it was coming, I knew that wasn't going to happen. So I mixed in the slide step here, throw his timing off a little bit, and it seemed to work out pretty well because I got to make a sick play on the mound, do a no-look toss to first, and walk off the field before the out was even recorded. Content, baby. And that's something even Eric Sim can respect.
Are you seriously gonna pimp that, sir?
Yeah, why not? Pimp everything. So after my 3 innings were over, I went over to sign for all the fans, including this guy, wearing a Trevor Bauer sword shirt. He must have gone to trevorbauer.com and got his merch, which you can do right now. Also had a Trevor Bauer bobblehead. Like, my man, I appreciate it. I got to meet the fan that called all the pitches. He was awesome. Got to talk to the media members after the game. Pretty cool. Simulated a real start. Normally, media members won't come out to a backfield game, but I appreciate all of you guys that came out. Very cool. Appreciate the support. Appreciate you covering me. I signed for about 30 or 45 minutes after my outing. Got to hang out with the fans, got to take pictures with everybody, sign balls and jerseys and hats and all sorts of stuff. Got to see a lot of young baseball fans out there. That part made my day. I love hanging out with the fans. It was a really good day overall, so hopefully you've enjoyed my recap of it. Sorry I couldn't produce a higher quality video, but at least we got something out. Hopefully you enjoyed. See you in the next one.